The WD-40 can rattled empty as I shook it, standing in my cluttered garage at 11 p.m., trying to coax life back into this busted outboard motor. If WD-40 can't fix your marriage, I muttered to the grimy engine, at least it keeps the parts moving. The joke wasn't funny anymore, but sarcasm was all I had left these days. That's when I heard Kathy's voice drifting through the thin wall separating our garage from the kitchen. She was on the phone again, that hushed, conspiratorial tone she'd been using lately. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. Just tell him you want a break, Kath. He'll panic and promise you anything. The voice belonged to Melinda Porter, Kathy's best friend since high school. Mel ran the beauty salon downtown and considered herself the town's relationship expert. I froze, wrench in hand. A break? After 18 years of marriage? But what if he doesn't fight for me? Kathy's voice cracked slightly. Then, honey, you're halfway free already. Trust me on this one. If I had $1 for every time I heard relationship advice from a woman who'd been divorced 3 times, I could buy a new motor and a boat to go with it. I set down the wrench and moved closer to the door. Greg thinks I should just leave outright, Kathy continued. He says Ben's holding me back from my potential. Greg Sloane, the personal trainer at Murphy's boxing gym, the guy with the perfect teeth and the white Audi who'd been helping my wife with her fitness goals for the past 6 months. My phone buzzed. A text from my 19-year-old son, Tom, home from college for the summer. Dad, you might want to come inside. Mom's acting weird. Too late, kid. I'd already heard enough. The next morning, I played it cool. Made coffee like always. Kissed Kathy's cheek like always. Asked about her day like always. She was fidgety, avoiding eye contact. I'm showing the Brennan house today, she said, straightening her real estate blazer. Might be late. Sure thing. I'll probably work late too. Got 3 boats to fix before the weekend. After she left, I did something I'd never done in 18 years of marriage. I searched. Not proud of it, but when your wife's best friend is coaching her to dump you, pride becomes a luxury you can't afford. I found the second phone hidden inside an empty cereal box in the pantry. Who hides a phone in a cereal box? Someone who watches too many spy movies, apparently. The messages made my stomach turn. Explicit texts between Kathy and Greg, photos I didn't want to see. But worse than the affair was the planning. Mel's voice notes coaching Kathy through every step of the deception. Tell Ben you need space to find yourself. Classic move. If he fights for you, you hold all the cards. If he doesn't, you know where you stand. There was a selfie from Greg's condo. I recognized the harbor view from his balcony. The timestamp was from last Tuesday, when Kathy claimed she was at a client dinner. My hands shook as I scrolled through weeks of betrayal. But the final voice note from Mel was what really got me. Remember, Kathy, you deserve better than a grease monkey who'll never amount to anything. Greg's got potential. He's opening his own gym next year. A grease monkey. 18 years of marriage. And that's what I was to them. I put the phone back in the cereal box and went to work. But I couldn't focus. Every boat I touched reminded me of the trips Kathy and I used to take, back when she laughed at my jokes instead of rolling her eyes. Around noon, I drove to Murphy's boxing gym. Not to confront anyone, I'm not stupid, just to see the lay of the land. Greg was in the office with Mel, both of them laughing about something. He had his hand on her shoulder, real friendly-like. Interesting. I walked up to the front desk like I was considering a membership. Ben Harrington, I said to the college kid working the counter. Thinking about getting back in shape. Cool, man. Greg's our head trainer. He's the best. I glanced toward the office. Greg looked up, saw me, and his smile faltered. He whispered something to Mel, who turned and stared at me through the glass. You know what? I told the kid. Let me think about it. Nice place, though. On my way out, I accidentally brushed against Greg's pristine white Audi in the parking lot. My greasy handprint left a perfect smudge on the driver's side door. "Consider it a signature," I muttered. My phone buzzed as I climbed into my pickup. Text from Kathy. "I need to talk tonight. Something important." I grinned, despite everything. Perfect timing. Let's see who panics first. That evening, Kathy had clearly rehearsed her speech. She'd even dressed up for it, the blue dress she wore to important client meetings. Mel had coached her well. "Ben, I think we need to take a break, some time apart to figure out what we really want." I let her get about halfway through before cutting her off. "Funny you should mention that," I said, pulling out a manila envelope I'd prepared that afternoon. "I just got my transfer papers approved for the Portland docks. Better pay, better benefits. Looks like we both get our wish." Her confident smile vanished. This wasn't in Mel's playbook. "Transfer? When did you apply for a transfer?" 3 months ago. Been waiting for the right time to tell you." Total lie, but she didn't know that. Guess this is it. "But I didn't mean, maybe we could work things out?" "Nah. You were right the first time. Sometimes people grow apart. No hard feelings." I grabbed my jacket and headed for the door. "I'm going to Davies for a beer. Take your time thinking things through." Through the window, I watched her fumble for her phone the second I backed out of the driveway. 2 blocks away, I spotted Mel's car parked behind the old church, waiting for her cue. I snapped a photo with my phone. Davy Murphy owned the dive bar on Water Street and had been my friend since high school. He was also an ex-cop who understood the value of patience and planning. "She's cheating," I told him over a beer. "With Greg from your brother's gym." "Greg Sloane? That pretty boy?" Davy shook his head. "Sorry, Ben, what are you gonna do?" "Nothing stupid, but I'm not rolling over either." "Good. Don't get caught, don't get arrested, but make 'em sweat. Play it smarter than they did." The next few weeks, I played the perfect separated husband. Polite, reasonable, even helpful, when Kathy needed boxes moved to her new apartment above Mel's salon. I smiled and made small talk, all while gathering information. The salon girls loved to gossip, especially when I showed up with coffee and donuts on Saturday mornings. Amazing what people will tell you when you listen without judgment. "Greg's been acting weird lately," said Tiffany, one of Mel's stylists. "Real moody, and he's been taking these pills." "What kind of pills?" I asked casually. "I don't know, but they're not vitamins. Makes him all aggressive and sweaty." "Steroids. Interesting." "And Kathy's been stressed about money," added another girl. "Something about the real estate commission structure changing." Double dipping on client commissions. Even more interesting. The annual school fundraiser was held at the community center, and everyone who was anyone in our little town showed up, including Kathy, Mel, and Greg, who arrived together like some twisted throuple. I worked the room, cracking jokes with Mrs. Trask, the nosiest woman in 3 counties, and making casual conversation with anyone who'd listen. "Shame about Greg's situation at the gym," I mentioned to Bob Fletcher, who ran the athletic commission for the county. "What situation?" "Oh, probably nothing. Just heard some rumors about performance enhancers. You know how people talk." Bob's expression grew serious. The commission took drug violations very seriously, especially after the scandal at the high school 2 years back. Later, Greg cornered me by the punch bowl. "We need to talk," he said, trying to look intimidating. "Sure, nice turnout tonight. Your girlfriend's been avoiding me, though." "She's not my girlfriend, and Kathy's not your wife anymore." "Actually, she is. Separation isn't divorce, champ, but I appreciate you keeping her company." His face reddened. "You think you're funny?" "I think I'm realistic. Kathy's a grown woman. If she wants to trade down, that's her choice." "Trade down?" He stepped closer. "I make more in a month than you make in 6. "Sure you do. Is that before or after the steroid budget?" Greg shoved me, hard. I stumbled back, but kept grinning. "Careful, Greg. Wouldn't want to chip your manicure. He swung at me then, a wild haymaker that I saw coming from next week. I ducked, and his fist connected with the metal punch bowl. The crash echoed through the room, and suddenly everyone was staring. Anger management issues, I announced to the crowd. Probably the roids. Greg cradled his bleeding knuckles and fled, Kathy and Mel trailing behind him. Mrs. Trask appeared at my elbow. Benjamin Harrington, what was that about? Just a misunderstanding, Mrs. Trask. Some people can't handle their punch. The room erupted in nervous laughter, but I noticed my son Tom watching from across the room, his face torn between embarrassment and something that might have been pride. 2 days later, Greg was suspended from the gym pending an investigation into drug use. Anonymous tip, apparently. The same day, Kathy got a surprise audit from the State Real Estate Commission regarding client complaint about kickbacks. Mel's salon suddenly found itself under scrutiny for labor violations after someone reported unpaid overtime and unlicensed workers. I had nothing to do with any of it, of course. Just a series of unfortunate coincidences. The real fun started when Greg's Audi developed some mysterious problems. Someone had apparently stuffed raw shrimp into the air conditioning vents, and the smell in the main heat was memorable. The same someone had also spray-painted "Homewrecker" on the side in bright red letters. Greg stormed over to my house at midnight, screaming and carrying on like a lunatic. Fortunately, I'd installed a security camera system the week before, for insurance purposes, you understand. You psycho. You destroyed my car. Greg, buddy, what are you talking about? I've been here all evening. Ask my neighbor. Don't play dumb with me. He was ranting and raving, occasionally taking swings at the air. I filmed the whole thing on my phone, making sure to get his face clearly in frame. Greg, you're trespassing on my property and making threats. Maybe you should go home and sleep it off. I'll eliminate you, you son of a... Whoa there, champ! That sounded like a death threat. Probably want to walk that back. But he was too far gone to listen. He kicked over my trash cans, threw a rock at my truck, and generally acted like a man having a complete breakdown. The next morning, I uploaded the video to the town's Facebook page with the caption, "Today's forecast, showers of tears. Stay safe out there, folks." It went viral within hours. Greg became the laughingstock of the entire county. But the real revelation came when I was reviewing the security footage from that night. There, clear as day, was Mel's car dropping Greg off at the end of my street. She'd waited in the shadows while he had his meltdown, then picked him up afterward. That's when the pieces clicked together. I did some digging into Mel's past and found what I was looking for in the old newspaper archives. 5 years ago, I'd caught her stealing from the hardware store where I worked part-time. She'd been fired and banned from the premises. Mel hadn't just enabled Kathy's affair, she'd orchestrated it. This was her revenge on me, using my wife as the weapon. "Bravo, Mel," I said to my empty kitchen. "I almost admire the long game. Almost." Time for the finale. I sent identical texts to Kathy, Greg, and Mel. "Tom's in trouble at the beach house. Need help now. Please come alone." The old Brennan place had been empty for months, sitting right on the water with a perfect view of the harbor. Kathy had the keys from showing it to clients. I arrived first and set up my equipment, 3 hidden cameras with audio, positioned to capture the entire main room. Then I waited. They arrived separately but within minutes of each other. Kathy looked genuinely worried about Tom. Greg looked suspicious. Mel looked calculating. "Where's Tom?" Kathy asked immediately. "He's fine. He's at Davy's helping with inventory. This is about something else." I'd prepared drinks, whiskey for Greg, wine for the ladies. They were too nervous to refuse. "I know about the affair," I said simply. "All of it." Kathy's face went white. Greg started to stand, but I held up a hand. "Sit down, champ. We're going to have a civilized conversation." "Ben, I can explain," Kathy started. "I'm sure you can, but first let's watch a movie." I turned on the TV and played the security footage from my house. Greg's midnight meltdown in all its glory. Then I switched to the footage of Mel's car, showing her waiting in the shadows. Interesting, I said. It's almost like someone planned the whole thing. Mel's face had gone from calculating to panicked. But wait, there's more. I pulled out printouts of the text messages from Kathy's secret phone. 18 months of planning. Very thorough. I read some of the more damning messages aloud, watching their faces crumble with each revelation. The thing is, I continued, I couldn't figure out why Mel was so invested in breaking up my marriage. Then I remembered the hardware store incident. Mel's eyes went wide. 5 years is a long time to hold a grudge, Mel. But using my wife to get back at me, that's next-level vindictive. You ruined my life, she exploded. I lost everything because of you. You lost everything because you're a thief. I just caught you. Greg tried to bolt for the door, but I was ready for him. Going somewhere, champ? I blocked his path. We're not done here. You can't keep us here. This is kidnapping. You came voluntarily, you can leave any time. But first, I pulled out my phone and showed them the screen. I'd already uploaded everything to a private YouTube channel, ready to go public with one click. The whole town's going to see what kind of people you really are. The affair, the planning, the lies, all of it. You can't do this, Kathy whispered. Actually, I can. It's all true, all documented, and all legal. Mel tried a different approach. Ben, we can work something out. I have money saved. You couldn't afford my silence if you mortgaged your soul, Mel. That's when I heard the sirens. Greg had managed to call 911 during the chaos, claiming I was holding them hostage. Perfect timing, I said, hitting the upload button. The police arrived to find 3 trespassers in an empty house and 1 homeowner with a perfectly legal right to be there, thanks to Kathy's realtor access. The cameras had recorded everything, proving I'd never threatened anyone or prevented them from leaving. By morning, the videos had spread through every social media platform in town. The marina's annual summer festival was that weekend, and I was scheduled to help with the sound system. When my turn came to test the microphone, I decided to address my audience directly. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have a toast for honesty. The crowd cheered, thinking I was starting some kind of celebration. Some of you might have seen some interesting videos online recently. For those who missed it, let me give you the highlights. I proceeded to recap the entire saga with biting sarcasm, naming names and sharing details that had the crowd gasping and laughing by turns. Greg appeared at the edge of the crowd, his face purple with rage. He charged toward the stage, but in his fury, he didn't see the stack of lobster traps beside the pier. He went down hard, tangled in rope and wire, while the crowd erupted in laughter and applause. Kathy's real estate office fired her that afternoon. Mel's salon lost half its clients by Monday. Greg's gym membership was permanently revoked, and the steroid investigation led to criminal charges. As the fireworks began over the harbor, I walked away from the festival, leaving behind the wreckage of their lives and the whispers that would follow them forever. They'd wanted a villain in their little drama, so I gave them the monster they deserved.